Our next guest, I have just been reminded, of course, is a repeat visitor to the show. Not only a wonderful public servant and person now working in the tech industry, but my good friend, Rebecca Prozan. Welcome.
Thank you, Dave. It's always great to be here.
You know, it really is a sign of early senility when you can't even remember that a guest has been on the show before. I do apologize.
Or it means that there's lots of good things going on in your head.
That is. I'll take that. So for those guests who are not familiar with your work, when did you first come to the Bay Area?
1993. It actually was Halloween. Graduated from UC Santa Cruz, and as you know, I grew up on the peninsula, spent a couple of months trying to find a job, and then my very first job was a secretary in an advertising firm at Jackson and Broadway.
Right. Now, coming to Halloween, however many years ago that was, you've seen a lot of changes here in the city. You've had a career in law, you've worked in city government, you have worked as a politician, you ran for office. Now you're doing government affairs and public policy for Google. Did you ever see that kind of journey unfolding?
Well, when I first started, there was no Google.
Right.
So, no, I never saw it. But this position is really fantastic for me personally because it allows me to do everything that I've wanted to do to help our city deal with everything that's going on.
Well, let's delve a little bit farther into that. When you talk about that, are you talking just about tech issues? Are you talking about quality of life issues? What do you mean by that? The things that you're going to help the city get better because of Google?
Well, San Francisco's experiencing tremendous growth right now, and that's not just the tech industry. That's health, that's financial, that's all the reasons why everybody likes to call themselves a San Franciscan because there's a specialness about San Francisco, really, that is no other. And this position really allows me to listen to the community, to listen to elected officials, to listen on behalf of a company and have some say in how we can participate. You know, we've had an office here since 2007. Google was born in the Bay Area.
Right. What does it feel like to be kind of well, you wear many hats, but as an open lesbian professional, what is it like working at the Google? I mean, I remember when Google first opened that office, and I would run to some people, they had the Rainbow Group or whatever it was called, and they said that Google was the gayest company in the Bay Area. Is that a true stereotype?
Well, it's San Francisco. So San Francisco is home to many gay companies. I would put Google as one of them.
Right.
I find it to be the most inclusive, the most welcoming, and just home to any person who likes to work there.
Right.
The fact of the matter is there are a lot of gay employees that are there. It is very gay welcoming, and the company has set the tone with great policies around marriage equality. I don't know if you know this, that we were one of the first large companies to extend medical benefits and gender transforming procedures for the transgender community in 2011. So what's fascinating to me that it's not just welcoming to the LGB piece of the community. There's actually a transgender employee resource group.
Right.
I have met some really incredible people that are doing amazing things in their day jobs and in the evening for the community.
You know, you raise an interesting point. I remember a few years ago, my husband Alfredo, who's a dual citizen in the United States and Spain, and when Spain passed marriage equality, he said something really interesting that stuck with me. He said, you know, we passed a law, and suddenly marriage equality is the law of the land throughout Spain. But he said the companies and the population haven't caught up. He said the United States does it different. He said by the time the Congress or the Supreme Court or whomever is going to pass the law gets to it, it'll all be done because the businesses did it first. Do you see that trend continuing? And I mean, what's next for Google? I mean, Google has pushed the envelope on the LGB and now the T part of the equation. What is Google doing, not just as a business, but as a really sensitive part of the community to improve lives of people?
But I think it's interesting. I was at the Out and Equal dinner last night, and they honored Transparent. And the person who spoke talked about how what's beautiful about Transparent, the show, is that it really shows that treating someone as to who they are and welcoming that and honoring that and allowing them to be themselves as an individual and not having to hide or be closeted or fear being your true authentic self, that's really to me what Google's about.
Right. Well, because it's good business to be inclusive.
which is why we signed on for an amicus brief on the marriage equality.
Right. A guest on an earlier show last week was Kate Kendall from the Center for Lesbian Rights, and we were talking about, the march towards quote unquote social justice for the LGBT community as far as marriage equality has now become a run. Do you think we're going to see any backsliding? I mean, does it ever make you nervous as a member of the LGBT community to see how far we've come so soon? I mean, there's this backlash now in Indiana. We've got this reprehensible potential initiative on the California state ballot, the Sodomite Suppression Act, where it would actually say, you got to kill me because I'm gay. Does that worry you?
Of course it does. Because it's fear of the unknown. We don't know if this is going to be on the ballot. We don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do on gay marriage. We don't know how. We know that the Indiana law will be challenged, and we'll have to see how the Supreme Court is going to balance those issues. But I also trust in the LGBT community. I know that we will step up and rise up because we've taken some defeats, and we know how to bounce back.
Right. Now, Google, of course, has been at the forefront of technological change. It's been at the forefront of most every business decision as far as San Francisco has been concerned in the last few years, because everyone searches Google. We were looking at the Chiron to check your, what's the website for my next guest? Oh, Google. I mean, that kind of made me step back for a second. But Google's also been at the forefront of some people saying, oh my God, you're a representative of this huge influx of people that are changing the city. Do you have to deal with that in your job as government affairs or public policy? Do you have to deal with any people who are saying, oh, I'm a little worried about all these techies coming in?
Well, sure, and that's part of the growth and change that San Francisco is facing right now. Google does, and as I said before, we've had a home here since 2007. We didn't just come here yesterday. The Bay Area is our home. We want to be good neighbors, and that's why we are listening to the people that are concerned about the transportation, the housing, and all the issues that are facing San Francisco. But it's not just tech. I really want to make that clear. It's the health industry. CPMC is growing a tremendous amount in San Francisco. It's the financial industry. There are significant business growth opportunities for business, but that gives us the opportunity to say, how can we be a better neighbor to our nonprofit? How can we be a better neighbor to our different communities here in San Francisco? And I don't know if you know that Google's given over $100 million over the last 4 years, and we are really trying to do more and listen more and hear from people about how we can better participate.
Talk to me a little bit about that, some of the initiatives that you have been involved with as far as Google, how they're giving back to the community, how they're doing things that, frankly, a lot of people don't hear about.
So that always makes me laugh, because there's so many things that Google does that I don't hear about until I'm out in the community. It's really fascinating to me. That's what's great about Google. It's a very independent company. People are allowed to sort of go and do things all the time. They encourage people to participate and volunteer in the community in a number of different ways. But we gave $100,000 to the AIDS Foundation. We have very active board members on many LGBT stalwart nonprofits, like the Transgender Law Center, like the LGBT Center. And we continue to participate in the community on a daily basis. Last week, I heard that we do coding classes in the LGBT community that I had no idea that we were doing. And it's fascinating, and it also just warms my heart, because it makes my job easy, because what I have to do is organize all that information and push all that out.
Well, I mean, for so much of your career, you've worked in some community-based organizations, or even the city, which probably isn't as big a mothership as the Google. What has it been like to get your head and hands around the corporate culture of Google? Or as I've said it several times, I have a friend who worked there, and he said, we just call it the mothership. It's so big. How is that a different just job reality? What's your day-to-day job like?
It's kind of like working for the city. Every day is very, or it's like being a prosecutor. Every day is different. You never know what's going to happen. You have your schedule. I conduct a number of meetings, external meetings with nonprofits, influencers, elected officials, city departments. We presented at at the Small Business Commission on Monday because Google has a tremendous program called Accelerate with Google for small businesses to help them grow. I'm organizing trainings for small businesses and nonprofits at the San Francisco office and really broadening our reach to as many different community-based organizations as we possibly can. But there's a steep learning curve for me internally in terms of the language. It's a very different language there.
You mean just like the tech speak? Is that what you're talking about?
Tech speak, yes.
I mean, were you a techie before this position?
No.
But I mean, you probably had, I mean, you had like the accounts and everything, right? I mean, how have, just on a completely personal level,
Sure.
What have you learned? How has Google changed Rebecca?
Well, it's made me more efficient, I'll tell you that. Using the Google products, the Google Docs, the Google, the Excel spreadsheets, those kinds of things have really made me much more tech savvy. I would categorize myself as a kindergartner, certainly not in the high school or college phase, but I'm getting there.
Right.
It's like learning. I didn't know what a PDF was a couple of years ago. I didn't, and because the DA's office didn't deal with PDF.
Is that what it stands for? Yeah.
I didn't know how to embed a link last year. Now I do.
Right. So in a more general sense, I mean, Google is in one sense the biggest player, but it's part of a huge technologically driven economic infrastructure here in the Bay Area. How do you see, and I'm asking you to kind of look into the future a little bit, but how do you see technology in general impacting not only just San Francisco, but the whole Bay Area, Northern California? I was speaking to someone earlier about how the first tech boom kind of came and went. This one feels different. Do you have any thoughts on that?
One person said it to me like this. 10 or 15 years ago, there was a break from technology. It wasn't in your everyday. You didn't have a smartphone 10 or 15 years ago. Now you can't live without looking at the internet 5 or 10 times a day. Now you can't live without a text message or checking your email or fill in the blank of however that is. And so that makes it much more pervasive. And I think it gives people pause to think about how technology is affecting how we operate, how we do. That being said, it's also opening doors to really resolve problems that we weren't able to fix 10 or 15 years ago.
Probably even problems we didn't even know how to language 10 or 15 years ago.
And that goes in biotech. That's not just organizing people's information and making it universally accessible like Google. But that goes to biotech and how we're going to be dealing with health issues. That goes to any number of issues that tech can help resolve.
In just our last few moments, we'll talk to you about some of your personal stuff. I know you took part for the first time in the AIDS life cycle last year. We both did. We got up that, what was it, the Quadbusters, whatever it is?
Quadbuster.
Yeah, did it. Are you doing it again?
I'm not. I'm going to be doing it in 2017.
Okay.
I'm enjoying my weekends.
I got it. Yeah, we're thinking of 2016.
I don't know if you know that I was appointed to the Democratic County Central Committee.
I did not.
And so I'll be standing for election in 2016 in June, so I will not be able to be on the ride. Leslie Katz resigned. So.
I see. Yeah. Now she's now, she's still chair of the Port of San Francisco.
Correct.
All right, well, you can certainly depend upon a donation from us. So thanks for writing on behalf of everyone with AIDS, HIV. Anything you'd like to say in closing about Google?
I think that I'm so proud to be working for such an inclusive company. And I know I've said it 3 times, I'll say it again. We really are trying to be good neighbors. We really want to participate in the community, and I'm fortunate to be in a position to listen on behalf of Google.
So Google is gay. In a good way.
In a good way.
Great. We've been speaking with Rebecca Prozan of Google. Next up, the photographer and artist Kike Arnell talks to us about his unique and moving portraits of the transgender community in Mexico. We'll be right back.